Welcome, folks, to our second episode of In the Field with UK Extension. I'm Adam Huber, the Extension Agent in Allen County, along with Jason Phillips, the Extension Agent in Simpson County. And Jason, today we're going to talk about a topic that a lot of Extension agents don't really interact with a lot, and that's firewood.
That's right, yeah. We've got some things we want to talk to you today about when curing firewood, when purchasing firewood, maybe some potential structures that you could construct in order to store your firewood, and where those should be placed, and things of that nature.
Right. And a lot of times some folks don't really know what kind of firewood to get as far as species go.
Exactly.
And so your oaks, your hickories, and your black locusts, those are the species that are going to provide the most heat.
Yeah.
Per unit. And as far as starting a fire, which would be good, would be the silver and red maple along with your yellow poplars. Those would be good for starting a fire.
Right. All firewood is not created equal.
Right.
And some of the woods that you mentioned, the oak, the hickory, the black locust, they've got less air space, so they're the densest.
Right.
So really you're getting your most bang for your buck when you're purchasing those woods, and they're going to burn the hottest and put off the most heat.
Right. So if you've got an option to purchase a pallet of maple, and then you've got an option to purchase a pallet of oak, you definitely want to go with the oak.
The oak is definitely a better bang for your buck.
Right.
And like you said, the maple's a good starter wood.
Right.
But outside of that, for your actual heat source,
Yeah.
you want to be burning something like oak or hickory or black locust.
Right. And so another thing we're going to kind of show you all, we've got set up here, is proper storage and drying of your firewood. And that's something a lot of folks don't really know as well. You see a lot of folks store their firewood in their barn or in the shed beside their house, put it up against the back of their house, and that's not really ideal for drying your firewood.
That doesn't provide a real good curing situation. And so something that we wanted to talk about today is give an example of how you could properly cure your wood. Of course, you don't want to burn wet wood, so you can't go out here, and I think most folks know this, but cut up a log and
then go put it in the fire.
Right, you don't want to do that. Obviously, it's got to be cured good, which typically takes 6 months to a year.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about why we decided to utilize this pallet. Why is that important in this example?
Well, that's a good question. You definitely want to get your firewood up off the ground, because like you said, if it's sitting on the ground, there's obviously moisture in the ground, especially after rain and snow events during the winter months. So, you definitely want to get it up off the ground and get some airflow circulation. And like we said before, ideally you don't want it up against a barn or some type of building, because it's cutting off that airflow and the air circulation, and it's lessening the time of curing your wood there.
Right. It's definitely going to take longer to get that wood cured if you're not getting good air circulation. So actually, we set this up here for demonstration purposes, but it would be better off if we were out away from any structures,
right,
so that we get a lot of good air circulation. And then we place the T-post here in order to provide some sort of structure to help when we're stacking the wood.
To hold the wood in place.
Obviously, if you've got a lot of wood, you can make this larger.
Yeah.
But this will help hold the wood in place. And then also, when we get our wood stacked up to the desired height, we get the question a lot of times, why do I see people cover just the top of the wood, right, and not the entire stack of wood?
Right, yeah, and the main reason for that is, especially, if you've got your wood outside like you should have it, you don't want, when it rains and snows and you got a lot of precipitation, you don't want to get that water drizzling down through your wood and keep that moisture in there. So if you put a cover over the top of it, keeps the moisture from the water from going through the wood and keeps it drier longer. But you do want it, you don't want to have your tarp or whatever you got on top of it going down the side, because that's how your wood actually dries out, is through the actual ends of the wood.
And it's okay if the water runs off and the ends get
right,
wet, you're still getting good airflow and circulation on those ends.
Right.
And that's not going to affect the curing process or get your wood, you know, overly wet.
And another good thing to kind of pay attention to as well is if you've got a predominant wind that comes out of the north and south, you know, it's a good idea to stack your wood long ways with that, because that airflow is going north and south, and it's going to get the ends of the wood. And instead if you had it turned long ways, then you're not getting any you know, enough airflow through there.
The advantage,
and it's going to take your curing, you know, it's going to be longer.
Not getting the benefit of the predominant wind.
Right.
That's a great point. Also, something that I would point out too is on the actual wood. Here you see it's got some bark left on this piece of wood, whereas we've got one without bark. It's going to take this piece of wood longer to cure than it would if you remove the bark.
Right.
It's going to cure faster. This is going to actually hold some moisture in.
Right.
Not that you can't cure it with the bark on.
It's just going to take a little longer.
It's just going to take a little longer.
Right.
So, basically, you want to know your wood species.
Right.
You want to build a proper structure that's going to get good airflow and circulation. Obviously, by knowing your species, you're getting the most bang for your buck.
Right.
And you're also going to provide a better heat source.
Right. And one other thing too is buying your wood locally. You want to kind of keep your purchases within the region that you're living in, and that's just for a number of reasons. One being bringing other pests in to the area that you don't want.
Right.
Like the emerald ash borer for one.
That's a great example. The emerald ash borer, of course, is devastating to our ash trees, and when we buy wood and haul it in from distance, the emerald ash borer is predominantly, as are other invasive species, transported through firewood. They don't have much of a flight range, so we would encourage you to always buy local firewood, burn local firewood, and if you're traveling somewhere, purchase local firewood. Either use it all or leave behind what you don't use.
Yeah, if you're going on a camping trip out of state or just, you know, a couple hours away, just don't bring your firewood with you. Buy it there on the campsite, and like you said, just leave it there when you head back home.
Exactly. So hopefully this will help you get started in knowing what you're purchasing and how to properly cure your wood and store your wood, and also prevent invasive species from being a problem, and doing your part in not spreading those invasive species around.
Right. Yeah, and if you have any more questions, you can call your Cooperative Extension Office in your county, and we appreciate you watching this episode of In the Field.